Hey everybody, welcome to Hit Rewind. This episode is a little bit different than usual. We're going to be doing a mini-sode to fill in between the 1991 and 1992 seasons. I'm your host, Michael. John's on the other side. What are we doing this episode, John?
We decided to go and think about what our ultimate comic book teams would be.
Yeah, we got a few episodes of these, I think. I think we get maybe 3 episodes.
Yeah, I guess what, Teen Titans?
Yeah, Teen Titans, maybe JSA. I don't know if you're a JSA guy, but X-Men, of course. What are some of the other big teams?
Well, I mean, I did mention, we could probably do Champions, since there are a couple of Champions.
Well, we could do a weirdo team where we include Champions, Invaders, Defenders, all the oddball teams, Alpha Flight, into one mega team.
Yeah, well, actually, yeah, we could probably do that. Although, considering that Alpha Flight is now kind of is basically like Sword now.
Oh, are they now? I've seen that they changed a bunch. Of course, if you grew up in the 80s and early 90s, Alpha Flight was a big Canadian team. They keep trying to come back, but they only last like a year. And now they're reconfiguring the whole team. Because remember, Captain Marvel was part of the team for a little bit. She was leading it, but it was only a few members of Alpha Flight. And I don't know, it just seems like one of those teams that just cannot lock down what worked so well in the early 80s.
Well, partially it's because they really want to have some sort of cohesion with their movies as well as their comics. So they'll kind of throw things around in a weird way to, let's have, since we're going to do Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff like that, let's have our comics start reflecting a little bit more cosmic, stuff. So we're going to have A-Force and now Alpha Flight as being this because Sword has now been co-opted by the X-Men.
Yeah, 10 years ago, the absolute pinnacle of Alpha Flight was the post-Fear Itself run. It's the Greg Pak run. It was only 9 issues, but it's the best that they've ever thrown at you. Even better than the John Byrne years, if you ever are interested.
I think I've read some of those.
It's so
trying to remember.
All right, so the main teams that we're going to be doing are the 2 biggies, JLA and Avengers, and we're picking. The rules were, now I did this once before, 3 years ago with someone, and I said build your perfect is choose your own Avengers team. I didn't lay down any ground rules, so he started picking people like Doom and Galactus, and I was like, fuck. That's not what I meant. So these are the rules of any of these that we choose. You can only have one of the big 3 of any of these teams. You have 7 team members, and you have a choice, just going with favorites or a strategic way of building a team, and you chose strategic.
I don't think we did a cap on how many members.
Oh, really? I thought we did.
I don't remember.
Well, how many do you have?
Well, we can get into it.
All right, you got double digits?
Somewhat.
Oh my god! All right, I gotta write these rules down. All right, well, I only have 7 members. Maybe I'll have an emergency backup. I got one in mind that I wanted to add. I didn't. All right, so what do you want to start? Well, I can't talk today. What do you want to start off with?
Well, let's go with JLA.
Okay. Well, how is your team built? You do that while I go grab something to drink real quick. I can still hear you, though.
Okay. All right. Well, basically, kind of my version of the Justice League would have have 2 teams that kind of work doing specific aspects of what would be needed.
Oh, like in the Justice League Europe and Justice League America of the late 80s, early 90s?
Kind of. You basically have the face team. You have the team that's out there who's doing all the super heroic stuff.
Oh, okay. So you're talking actually mid-90s when we had Extreme Justice and Task Force. Remember Task Force at all?
I don't remember Task Force, although I was kind of thinking this would probably end up maybe being effectively Batman and the Outlaws, or
what it was is Martian Manhunter was doing smaller scale, kind of under the radar Black Ops, and he would choose members based on the need of the mission, kind of like that show, Justice League Unlimited. It was always I was in Marvin the Martian Manhunter, and then whoever he chose. So every few issues, it would rotate teams.
Yeah, and that's the idea. Is like I thought about this and went, the Justice League in general, seem to really be very shitty at dealing with smaller threats.
Right.
Like, they always seem to get blindsided by something that, if they actually had a, clandestine Black Ops team, someone could actually, like, take care of things while, Apocalypse, not Apocalypse, but Darkseid shows up and all the people from Apocalypse are there. And,
Yeah.
oh,
Well, I mean, if you think about some of the teams, they got wiped out by really small time. Like the Royal Flush Gang was the first adventure of the Dematis run of '86. I mean, that's small scale compared to everything that would go on during like the Grant Morrison years.
But yeah, and that's what I thought. Like, kind of went, okay, we have this face team for you have Superman, Wonder Woman, the John Stewart Green Lantern, Cyborg, Barry Allen Flash, and then Nightwing and Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle.
Okay.
So you get your powerhouses with Superman, Wonder Woman. You got your tech and science bros, Cyborg and Flash, and Blue Beetle a little bit, and then your strategy with Lantern and Nightwing. But then you also, because you have Nightwing, you have Batman with a sense of humor.
True.
Now, Batman is going to be leading a secondary team that's basically, like I said, kind of Black Ops. So you have Oracle, Martian Manhunter, Batman, Ted Kord, Blue Beetle, John Constantine, Black Canary, and a lot of this is also kind of needs of the, when needed, of course.
Right.
Also. Like Black Canary, Huntress, Plastic Man, and the new 52 version of Animal Man.
Okay, yeah. So your team, based on different needs. So you have the big global scale, the ones that are going to like the UN meetings and taking on like global, big, dangerous. But you also like, while you're taking care of that, you also are ignoring all the smaller stuff. I guess that's why DC kind of introduced the Outsiders during the '80s, and I'm trying to think of some of the other teams that were going on during that time. But it does seem like there's always a niche for street level characters that are needed, and they've tried to do that in the Justice League so many times, where they add the lower level guys with the big leaguers, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like you always kind of need to have this, like I said, this grand threats. You read these comics, and it's always something big, and then, like you said, you get something small, like what was it? Identity Crisis, where it's really the simplest, smallest threat is the thing that really unravels the Justice League. And it's like, well, if you had actual detectives doing detective work while Justice League is out doing punchy punch stuff, shit probably wouldn't have gotten as bad necessarily.
Yeah. Okay, well, I went more big global scale, because I was thinking like later we would build like the Outsiders or Suicide Squad. That's another one we could do. We could do Suicide Squad, where we can also include like members of the Secret Six, and what was the other team that they had?
Oh
I can't remember.
God.
But yeah, so I tried to build a team that covered every style of threat that could come to them. Were you done with your team? I'm sorry.
Yeah, oh no, that's pretty much. There are like reserve members that would also kind of throw in a little bit. Where again, kind of in that global frequency or Heroes for Hire kind of way, with like additional people that could be called up, like the Renee Montoya's Question.
Yeah, for
Miracle.
detective stuff. And I thought about like Blue Devil, because he's handled like he has lots of strength and whatever, but he could also hand mystical stuff. In creepy Necronomicon kind of,
Yeah.
but I didn't include those. I crossed out names, and I kind of want to go for people that were off the normal beaten path that would also cover what the team needed. So I went through the whole parameters, and I picked up team members from every single run. Did you focus on any particular run, or you just went through the whole gamut?
I just kind of went through the whole gamut and kind of went, who would I, if I were writing these comics also, is kind of what I went. It's like, how would I be doing this?
Yeah, I chose a couple people that weren't necessarily known for being in Justice League. A few of them are actually more known for Justice Society. But, so I chose, when it comes down, you gotta have, for me personally, you gotta have a Flash. And I didn't go with Barry, or maybe I should have strategically, because he's the science guy. But I always thought Wally was better. a better hero, a better at capitalizing on what the Speed Force can do. He really was light years ahead, joke intended, of what Barry could do until, of course, they brought him back and they kind of reconfigured a little bit that he was, so knowledgeable. Because it didn't seem like he really tapped in until after Brightest Day. I went with Green Lantern, and as much as I love Kyle, Hal is the leader. He's the one who's a master at strategy and building teams, and his power is just unbelievable, and he handles the cosmic. For pure strength, and I think she's highly underrated, and I think a lot of it is because people focus so much on her boobs, is Power Girl.
Okay, all right.
Now, for a dirty, scrapper, someone with just savage smarts, and also highly underrated, and I thought that, everybody goes to Hawkman, but Hawkman's uncontrollable. He's never really been good as part of a team, but Hawkgirl is.
Okay, well, I can see that.
For magic and other worldly things, we have Dr. Fate. Mostly known as a JSA member, but he was a big part of that early reboot in the 80s.
Alright. Got Dr. Fate. Good.
So, with science, now this has to be the combo of, I can't remember the other guy, but it's Firestorm, but the original version with the doctor, whatever his name was. And then Ronnie Raymond, so they handled the science aspect of it, but they can also, the fact of Firestorm's ability is he can basically alter the chemistry of everything and change it into something else is highly underrated. And my final team member is, I think, maybe one of the most powerful people in the whole DC universe, and nobody gives him any respect whatsoever. He was only on the Justice League for a very short run, but Geostorm controls the fucking planet, and no one ever talks about how unbelievably powerful it is. And if he ever turned, he would be even more dangerous than his sister Tara by a long shot.
Yeah, it's like when you said the name, it took me a second. I'm like, Geostorm. Oh yeah.
Oh, sorry, Geoforce. I said isn't Geoforce? I said the wrong thing.
I think
I said Geostorm because of that movie with Gerard Butler.
Yeah.
And there's other people. Go ahead.
It took me a moment because I'm going like, I think I know. Okay, yeah, I do remember that there's a character like that.
Yeah, I'm kind of missing a big detective and someone who can handle supernatural and a scrapper, but a street level person. But I think Hawkgirl kind of covers. She did a bunch of detective work with Hawkman in the Jeff Johns run, and she has street level smarts, and I think that kind of covers that. And I think a lot of the magic and otherworldly stuff is covered. Outer space is covered, and you have two leaders there easily because Dr. Fate led JSA for a long time. But Hal really is just someone that people can look up to and really just no fear.
Yeah, well, it's like, I just kind of look at Hal kind of being, I kind of look back to the, the one where he was partnered up with Green Arrow, and I just kind of went, I just think of him more as just a douche.
Oh no! Before he died, he was a douche. He was the loudmouth. He was the rebellious one. He didn't listen to common sense a lot of times, and it was when he came back from the dead with was it Rebirth? I think is what it is.
Yeah.
That's when they started redoing his character and made him more of a leader. And Kyle has a mastery of designing creative stuff, and he has been a leader, but Hal's just really got it. And if he's taken out, we know that there's a couple backups, because I know Power Girl has led before too. So if Dr. Fate falls, then we have Power Girl. So I'm just trying to think of like chess pieces. Like if you lose a piece, you still have another one to work with.
Yeah.
All right. So over to the Avengers.
All right. Now I do have a kind of the similar setup in a way with Avengers 2 because, and especially when you come to the Marvel Universe, you need to have a backup, someone actually fighting, the Hood and some of his, lower crime dickhead things. That's why there's like 50 Avengers teams.
Yeah, which I think is too much now, but
yeah, Marvel is very liberal with using the Avengers name.
U.S. Avengers. I remember that series.
Yeah, it's like, and they've done a whole lot of stuff where they've been trying. You had the Avengers Unity Squad, and you had. Dude, I'm not going to go into it. There's too many of them.
Yeah, there's the Uncanny Avengers, where it's X-Men and the Avengers together. Yeah, they're really milking that for all it's worth.
Yeah, so I did kind of look at that, and I did feel that, again, you would still need to have a Marvel Max title style Black Ops team who are perfectly willing to kill people when necessary and keep it off the books, quote unquote, as well as, of course, your face team. And I kind of went with this in a kind of like the all-new, quote-unquote, versions. The little rollout that they did a couple of years back where they were taking the newer versions of classic characters and kind of throwing them out there.
Uh-huh.
So, again, I will still have regular, our typical thoughts of Captain America and Iron Man. They're the legacy characters. They've been around the block enough, and kind of good to have them on your team to start with. But from there, we've got Braun, the former Totally Awesome Hulk, Amadeus Cho.
Okay, I was wondering who the hell Braun was. I've been out of touch on Marvel for a little while.
Yeah, I debated whether I was going to actually just call him, or just call him by Cho, but Braun is actually what they're calling him now. Laura Kinney's version of Wolverine. The Miles Morales Spider-Man.
Oh, someone I know. Yeah. I didn't know who the last one was.
The Kate Bishop Hawkeye. Our current Valkyrie Jane Foster. America Chavez. And Sister Grimm from The Runaways. And we'll also have Lucky the Pizza Dog and Jeff the Land Shark.
Oh my god, you're telling me characters I barely know. You really have stayed current because I'm lost.
Yeah. Oh, Jeff. Oh, okay. Lucky the Pizza Dog and Jeff the Land Shark are mascots. Let's be honest. Oh my god, I'll have to show you Jeff the Land Shark. It's the most annoyingly adorable thing ever. But yeah, so basically, you have your recognizable characters. Miles has been on the Avengers before, and he's got invisibility and venom blasts and shit. You do have a Hulk with Braun, even though he's not as bulky anymore as some of the other Hulks. Kate Bishop is a great shot, and also pretty decent enough detective. You've got Laura Kinney, the X-23, the clone of Wolverine, who's now Wolverine.
Is Wolverine dead?
No, but they're just going. There's two Wolverines.
Okay.
They're finally doing what they should have done before. We just say, yes, you can have two characters called Wolverine. It's not going to fucking confuse anybody. One has tits, one does not. You can guess which one is which.
Right. Well, I mean, they call Wolverine Logan so often that
Yeah. Well, even then, when Laura Kinney was running around as Wolverine, at the first time they did that, they had Old Man Logan, also from his little alternate universe. So you had two Wolverines running around at the same time. But, okay, so you have Valkyrie, since, she's not Thor anymore, but she can still sit there and do Thor-level stuff. It's good to have Jane Foster, who's also been on the Avengers. And then about the only one that you have that's the two that are kind of, they've been on teams, but they're not, I don't want to go not necessarily the most team players who kind of need to be doing this. Like, you have Nico Moreau, I can't say her last name, Sister Grimm. She's got magic. And then you've got America Chavez, who's got, your speed, flight, invulnerability, and it can actually transport people around. That's pretty fucking helpful, isn't it?
I don't know who that is, but I'll go with it.
She's actually going to be in the new Doctor Strange movie.
Okay. Oh, yes. Okay, now I know what you're talking about. They were talking about how, the writer, the creator wasn't getting any credit for it.
Yeah, like with any of these guys, unfortunately. But, so now for the little Wetworks team, Falcon would be leading it. Then you got, of course, some of the most obvious ones, Black Widow and the Winter Soldier. I'd also have Mockingbird on this team because she's a fucking spy. Wasp, Nadia Van Dyne, who was raised in the Red Room and can do all the stuff that Wasp can do, but also beat the shit out of people like Black Widow can, and she's wicked smart.
Wicked smart, eh?
Yeah, and then I can't remember if he's alive or not at this point in time, so I'm just going to say we'll just pull him from. It's not canonical. We'll just pull him back in time, and we'll have Agent Venom, the Flash Thompson.
Oh, okay. I forgot about that one. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that would both. If you're going to have a bunch of people who can do sneaky shit and keep it quiet.
Yeah. Well, now this helps that you've built different style of teams because it's going to be impossible for me to build an X-Men team just with 7 people, so I'm going to have to build multiple teams. Is your list done?
That is my list.
Okay. So, again, I only went with 7 people, and it was torture. I have a lot of crossed out. I'll tell you who I crossed out. Iron Man, Wasp, and Hercules.
Actually, Hercules, I was thinking about Hercules for a little bit, too.
I took Hercules off because we're missing a piece of the team that we needed, and that was the science part. And so I went through my list again, and so for technology and strategies, military liaison, I went with War Machine.
Okay.
As their leader and intergalactic specialist, Captain Marvel, the Carol Danvers. I know there's been a lot of Captain Marvels. For lower level groundwork, and also highly underrated as a leader because he led the West Coast Avengers and the Thunderbolts in Hawkeye. For science and just all around great agility and strength, we have the Beast. And I'm picking the Kurt Busiek, I think it was Busiek, and George, my brain left, Perez version of Wonder Man when he was kind of the ionic, he could make contact but people couldn't really touch him, and he could kind of phase in and phase out. I thought that version of Wonder Man was great. I think he's another guy where no one's ever really been able to pin down what they want to do with him because they're always, killing him off and changing the costumes, and it's like the Wasp. I feel like a lot of creators have no idea what to do with him, but Busiek, whatever you say his name, really did a good job. For spy work, for dangerous missions, we have Spider-Woman.
Okay.
And then for backup leader and a master of everything mystic is Doctor Strange.
Strange is dead.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was just choosing. I wasn't saying that any of these people are currently anything. I was just choosing all time.
Well, I mean, literally, this only happened like a couple of months back, too.
Right when the movie's coming out. Smart move, dummies. Didn't he die before and Brother Voodoo had to take over as Sorcerer Supreme?
Yeah. And they're going to bring him back, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure. There's no way they're going to throw that away.
Yeah, it's currently, I think it's Clea is now the Sorcerer Supreme.
The actress Clea Duvall? Wait, Cleo the lady from the commercials in the 90s? Hi, Miss Cleo!
Yeah, I trust her.
Alright, so obviously my team wasn't as elaborate, but we're going to go into other teams later, and I'll probably pick up some others. I'm sure, like I said, there's a way to build teams out of some of the more obscure ones, like Defenders and Champions and Heroes for Hire and stuff like that, and build a really great team.
That's kind of when we started working on this. I'd been reading one of the more recent Heroes for Hire runs, and that's kind of where, like I mentioned with like Global Frequency, the idea of a team that you can kind of just you call up when needed. And I'm going, yeah, you know what? It would be kind of advantageous to have a team that's a little more fluid.
Yeah.
In what you got than just necessarily.
I haven't read Heroes for Hire since the Daughters of the Dragon got the team away from Luke Cage and Iron Fist because they were too busy with Avengers, and they had like Shang-Chi and Paladin and a bunch of other people. That run was great.
Yeah, it's like the one I was reading was I think 2011 or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's the one that I'm reading. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I also really wanted to add Nova, but I already, like I said, I only had 7 spaces, so I can only use one cosmic person basically. So I did not go with Nova. The Raw was it Robbie Reed? Ronnie Reed? No, that's fucking Firestorm.
well,
Who am I thinking of? Ronnie Raymond?
you
Ah!
have Richard Ryder. And
Richard
then
Ryder. Good lord.
And then there's the more recent one, the younger kid. I can't
Yeah,
think of his
he's
name.
not ready. I don't think he's ready for the Avengers in any way.
He was on the Avengers.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
What was the other team I just remembered? New Warriors. You know, there's all these obscure teams that kind of bounced around for a while that you could build great teams with, but you couldn't necessarily do a whole episode about the New Warriors because there's only like 12 of them at most. So, and everybody's gonna choose Night Thrasher, the name that sounds like he's playing with himself in bed.
And then I read some of those New Warriors issues recently.
Yeah.
Oh, they're not that good.
Am I wrong in thinking that Mark Bagley only got hired because he was so insanely fast that he could do 2 or 3 comics a month? Because I never thought his art was that great. Is that blasphemy?
No, I could probably agree with you on
He
that.
was so popular for a while there because he was doing Night New Warriors. He was doing Darkhawk, I think. Spider-Man, then Ultimate Spider-Man, and then Thunderbolts, and it's just like he was so ubiquitous for a while. I didn't get his appeal, but you know, I also like weirdo artists that nobody really cares about or remembers, like Alex Sabiuk. Well, that was a fun discussion. We'll definitely do it. We got to do the X-Men next, and that's going to be like a whole episode because there's so many offshoots. Who do we pair with the X-Men? Teen Titans?
Yeah, that'd be hard to say. No, because I mean, if you did the closest thing you could say for that would be the New Mutants, would be the Teen Titans.
Yeah, you're right. But New Mutants, including X-Force, what do you do? And in Generation X.
Yeah, see that it becomes there's too many teams for X-Men.
Yeah, I almost feel like God. I feel like we have to. Let's just do this. Do you want to do a whole episode just X teams or? How do you
I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, because we'll have like the young upstarts, the ones who are like just starting out, and then you have like the elite team, the ones that are doing the big stuff, and then you have like the lower level kind of under the ground kind of teams.
Yeah, although you'll have to bone up on.
I will. The last thing I remember of the X-Men was the Joss Whedon run.
Oh God, that's like 20 years.
I know. If you ask me about, hey, who are the current X-Men, I'd be like Marrow and Maggot. That's so far behind. I swear. Embarrassing. All right, where can we find you on the internet?
All right, I am still on Twitter, musician MYUZISHION. I haven't done Twitch in a while. Maybe I will do that again someday. I still have to beat the game that I'm playing, so we'll see what happens.
I lied. I can't stay away from Twitter. Obviously, I lasted a whole 3 days. So last time I said that I quit Twitter, I was full of it. I just missed my friends. So it's still on Twitter, Facebook, all the podcast hosts just hit rewind. And that is it, everybody. Thank you for listening to this episode and have a good whatever.
See you all later.